You are listening to the $1 Billion Podcast, and we are back on the $1 Billion Couch, which means this is going up on YouTube. Is that right?
It sure is.
All right, so Friday night YouTube, Sunday morning podcast. Welcome to the $1 Billion Podcast on the $1 Billion Couch with a couple of $1 billion hosts.
Nice to be back.
Yeah, I mean, so I think we got to start with where we left off last time.
Do we?
No, I think it's good to unpack it, right? Because everyone here already knew what happened at the Richmond game when they heard the episode. And, you know, like you saw a 30-point loss.
Yeah.
And I think if we were to just completely not address it, it would be
Disingenuous.
it would be, yeah, it wouldn't be authentic. And so I sent you a message, and, you know, I've seen many a losses.
Mm-hmm.
And I often, I think actually in the entire playoffs of last year.
You were like 2-4, right?
No. I didn't see a single win.
Oh, gosh.
Every single team I wanted to win lost. Even I went to a Suns game cheering for the Lakers, and the Suns won. And then I went to Suns games cheering for the Suns.
Total money spent was what, 10K?
I will not disclose. I will not disclose.
Many thousands, I think you could probably imagine, were spent for all losses.
Yes, for a lot of losses. And I the thing that I said to Matt is I enjoyed all of them. And if you're going to go spend that much money on a game, you should be okay with a win or a loss because you got the experience.
Yeah, well, I'm not okay. Okay.
So that message didn't help you at all. You were pissed.
No.
Would you rather I talked shit?
No, the message helped.
Okay.
I appreciated it. I'm still not over it though. So let's go through it a bit.
Yeah.
First of all, Buffalo, that's a dump.
Oh,
like that's a certifiable dump.
Yeah, I mean, one of the worst places to live. Yeah.
Like I'm in the downtown. There are just no people anywhere. It's kind of very similar to Minneapolis was, where it's just like empty streets.
Oh, really?
Like,
that kind of downtown?
Very bizarre.
Oh, that's bad.
One good thing though, they have a casino directly across from the stadium. Full casino, sports betting too.
Oh, did you bet on the game?
Yeah, of course.
And you took Richmond?
Yeah, I took a money line. I took them spread. So, other update. I went to there was a pregame meetup for Richmond alumni.
Perfect.
And I'm there. It was pretty packed. I was there at a bar by myself, sitting there. And this guy comes up to the bar next to me.
Did you and Ellen not go to the game together?
No, just me.
Oh, you did a solo trip.
I did a solo trip. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was very fun aside from the game.
Nice. Okay, so you're at the bar.
I'm at the bar, and then there's this middle-aged white guy comes up next to me to like try to get a drink. And it's been my life mission for several years to make inroads with the head of the board of Richmond, who is my hero. And I was looking for him the entire time I was in Buffalo. So anyways, this guy comes up to me. He's like similar age to what this guy is. And I was like, you know what? Let me just maybe if I ask him like where this guy Paul is, he might know.
Yeah.
Turns out it's his best friend from growing up.
No.
Like grew up with him in Fairfield County, Connecticut. And we got to talking. We talked for probably a half hour. I was ripping on the Richmond coach. We were talking about the program. We're talking about the school. So I'm beginning to make my inroads in with this guy.
So did you get his contact information?
That's where I failed.
What?
I forgot about that part. I did get his first name, and I'd be able to find him. But
so did he seem like he liked you?
Oh yeah, he was loving it. Because I was talking very openly and frankly, and he was defending a lot of things. Because Richmond has had this coach for 17 years, made the tournament 3 times. I've wanted him out for years. He was going to be fired at the end of this year. They go on this miracle run. They make the tournament, and now we have another freaking 10 years of this guy. So. Anyways, so that was fun. So I go into the game. I couldn't get seats at the Richmond section because they were sold out. So I was like almost on the second row, kind of in behind the basket, and they just got their doors blown off. Like it wasn't close for even 1 second of the game. So I made my opinions known, as you can probably imagine.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Yeah, so Matt's from Boston. So what do Boston fans do?
So this is my main problem with Richmond basketball. And if you have like a college or sports team you root for that's similar, you can probably relate. It's just such a loser franchise. They're just so much losers. They're just happy to be here. All these great kids. They're wonderful kids. They played their hearts out. What a great run. They're cheering the whole game. Everything's happy-dory. Just no accountability in this team and program. And it's unacceptable. Like you would never find that in Arizona basketball. If you got a coach not make the tournament for a couple of years, he'd be gone.
Yeah, for sure. He'd be out.
So they'll continue to be losers. They're a loser franchise, and they'll never be more than that. And because of this mentality.
Are you trading them in?
I denounced my fanship a year ago when they didn't make the tournament. I came back on the bandwagon. Now I'm denouncing it again.
And you'll come back. You always go home if it's good.
I know. If they actually win, I'll come back. But last anecdote from the game. So they're down by like 30 points. There's probably 5 minutes left. And I look, and in front of me, the mascot is taking pictures, like one after the next with kids.
Yeah.
Is that not unacceptable? The mascot of our team, we're down by 30. We're getting embarrassed. And this smiley ass little spider is taking pictures with kids. So I let him know, hey, buddy, check the scoreboard. We're getting our doors blown off. Can you not take pictures and make it like, can you act like you've been there before? Can you show some emotion in a negative way? No, he wasn't having any of it. He gave me the crying little motion back to me. He was mocking me.
Seriously, the mascot mocked
He was mocking me hard. And no one was on my side around me. There was no Richmond fans, so everyone was loving it because I was annoying all game, and they were loving me getting shit on. But it's so unacceptable.
Did people around you talk shit to you?
Yeah, they did. They weren't so happy with me.
What kind of stuff did they say?
I don't remember. I don't know. They didn't like me.
So you know how unlikable you are at sports games, right?
No, but I always find a guy or gal or someone to be on my side. So there was this guy like 10 rows behind me. He was like a high schooler with his parents, but he was a Richmond fan. So I kept going up to him, and he and I had a great back and forth. I would talk to him a bunch. I'd run up there, run back.
What row were you in?
I was in the second row. So
I was in the second row?
Yeah, I was right near the bench. So I was in earshot of the coach.
And so you were yelling at the players and the coach?
Mainly the coach. I mean, they are college kids. It's a little weird to like yell at them, but the coach, yes.
What kind of stuff did you say?
I was telling them all to wake up. I said that a lot. I know that. and then when the coach walked off the floor, all the Richmond fans are cheering, and I'm booing as loud as I can.
Oh my gosh! So I gotta tell the audience the funniest story I've ever. Matt's told me about a sports game when he was a kid. You go to Red Sox games, and apparently at a Red Sox game when Matt's growing up, there's fights almost every game. And he told me, he was like, when I was a kid, I'd be like, I can't wait till I'm older and I can be the guy in the fight.
Because it happened a lot of times at like Red Sox Yankees games. You look in the bleachers, and all of a sudden, like a bunch of people are standing up, and you know what's happening. It's a fight. And I was like, this is like, like they're just like drinking beer and fighting out there against like Yankee fans. This is great.
You just want to go there and sock some Yankee fans.
Obviously, as we age, that stuff is no longer allowed at stadiums so much. So like,
it's unfortunate that you never got the opportunity.
I never got the opportunity. Well, so here we are. Your team survived an overtime.
Yeah, we should have lost. I'll talk about ours for a second. It was typical March Arizona. I'm like, what's going on? I mean, we shot 18% from three. Like, it's just the unluckiest thing. And
we shot 4% from three.
No way.
4%. We made 1 3 out of 20 something.
That's brutal to even watch that. I mean, I had a hard time watching 18%. And TCU, so our team is a physical team. When you play us, we are out there to out-tough you. They out-toughed us.
Really?
I mean, they gave us our lunch. And the one thing I really liked, so game last second, I mean, Ben Mathurin, our NBA guy, like he just like won us the game, just totally willed us to victory. Cool, great. I'm glad they got a scare. Hopefully they shore up their shit or else they'll lose. Okay, that all happened. After the game, they went up to the guy that killed him, and they like really, I like the sportsmanship of that. Like when a guy just feeds you lunch the whole game and like kills you, like go up to him and tell him good job and like, you deserve to win that game. Like they coach players, they all went up to that guy, and I really like that.
That guy number 3's got to shoot threes. That little point guard.
The
number 10 or something.
The
point guard I was texting you about, who they play like.
Yeah, that's Kansas. You're talking about the Kansas game.
Oh, it's Kansas, you're right.
I got 2 teams.
I know. I can't keep track of all his, blue blood number one
all
programs.
of my good luck.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just got so lucky marrying. So Kaylee's a 5th generation Jayhawk. There are only 5 generations of Jayhawks.
Oh.
Yeah, she is the original Jayhawk.
That's a fun fact. That's a true fan.
Yeah. So anyway.
So who are they playing next? Arizona?
Arizona's playing Houston. So Houston right now is the number 2 analytics team, right?
Good.
So I had them in the Sweet 16.
I'll be hammering that.
And I'm actually 3rd place right now in our bracket pool.
Nice.
And so I'm doing pretty well.
So if Arizona wins, you're probably going to win.
Yeah. As I stated before.
You want to do some questions?
Yeah, I think now is the good questions.
Okay, start right there.
Hey guys, love the show. The honest and authenticity is super refreshing. I wish more shows took this approach. I find myself laughing out loud as I listen in the gym. I especially look forward to IDI.
Oh, get ready for the day, buddy.
I was wondering if you guys could do a deep dive on commercial real estate and tax benefits. Thanks. Love that. I think that real estate as a deep dive would be appropriate, and then I'll break it into residential, commercial, multifamily, and then the other different types of real estate investment.
Have you
that can be
gone
done.
back on your real estate plans for like personal stuff, or
Yeah, I'm liquidating everything.
so you're not doing anything?
No, I thought I've talked to you about this personally. So what happened is our business has been, we've been having growth expenses and things have been tight. And so for me, I just made the decision to be responsible and liquidate all of my real estate so that I'm personally liquid for
So
anything that happens professionally.
You mentioned the Mexico property. So look at
So
that
I'm
one.
short. I short sold that.
But did you ever? You never closed on the Tucson thing, did you?
No, never closed on that. Thank goodness. And and then I have my lot right now. I'm hoping to get an offer.
It still hasn't sold that.
Yeah. So this is a good conversation for the real estate deep dive. I'll do a little preview on this. So Rich and I have had this thing under contract 2 times, and both times the buyers pulled out. And so we've had it for 4 months, just sitting there, like under contract. Someone's doing due diligence, and they're like, "All right, I changed my mind." And so I told Rich, I said, "I am not signing anything else without $25,000 non-refundable." And so pretty much, if someone's going to pay that, they're buying it. So everyone's I have 3 parties doing their due diligence before making an offer now, so that when they make an offer, it's solid.
These are non-dental businesses, I'm assuming.
It's a mix. I think one's dental and 2 are non-dental. I think there's a car wash wanting to go there. So yeah, so this lot has been a nice real estate lesson that I am not a developer. So in case anyone was wondering, I am not. I didn't know.
Okay.
I am not a real estate developer. I don't know why I thought I could do that.
Let the record show.
Yeah, let the record show I am not capable. So this has been a good learning lesson. Nice humility. So yeah, I'll do a real estate deep dive. And I think that real estate, I think we'll talk about it in the deep dive, because I think that to the crypto conversation, I think real estate and crypto are 2 that kind of go together. So we have a couple crypto questions. So I'll take those and I'll do a crypto corner, and then we'll jump into the IDI, and then I've got something.
All right, and quick update before we start all that. We got out of the lease.
Oh yeah,
we got to announce that. We are as of end of April. We are out of here. It was a big win. I got a random email yesterday from the SetJet people that they actually want to take over the whole space. So our hands are clean of it.
Yeah. So I mean, are we gonna hate SetJet or what?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. We're still hating them, right?
So, come on, man.
They're the worst. Okay, good. All right. So this is Graham Bitcoin Beard, who's reached out with this question. So by no means do I view myself as a crypto expert, but I believe the best way to think about Bitcoin is like digital gold. So if you buy gold from an exchange for gold, GLD is most commonly used, gold trust ETF. You can buy from, so he's talking about gold ETFs. You are essentially paying for gold that they hold, and then you can sell it at any time, and you can pay capital gains on it. Conversely, you can go to a pawn shop. So we're talking about this. So are you supposed to report a capital gains on property to the IRS? Bitcoin is the same. When you take it off the network and put it in cold storage wallet, it's like possession of gold. You can still sell it to your neighbor, and maybe you can have a capital gains claim. Maybe you didn't. So the capital gains question, let's talk about that first. And then the second one is Bitcoin is not money. It is a commodity and can be stored in a cold wallet legally. If stored with any custodian, you have the risk of being censored.
Like it.
Okay. So Bitcoin is not money. It is a commodity, and it can be stored in a cold wallet legally.
So Austin's going to help me move my Bitcoin from an exchange to cold storage, and I can share on the show when I do it how I went about doing that, if anyone's interested.
Yeah. So I'll tell you right now, this is scary stuff, because if you send it to the wrong address, it's gone.
That's scary. Okay. Okay. Oh man.
So like, this is when you transfer money in the crypto world. If you do not do it properly, you literally, it's in the abyss and no one can get it back for you because it's totally gone.
No.
So like, we're hating on the exchange, but the exchange is there to protect people from the potential loss. So it's proceed with caution beyond an exchange.
Okay, I still think it's worth it. I had some security issues with my exchange. They tried to hack my profile a couple times. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, I agree. I keep assets outside of exchanges as well.
So you did it, and you put in the correct code.
So the first time I lost money, and then I learned my lesson, and I was careful.
Okay, maybe so do it in phases.
Here's my tip. So you have to pay what's called a gas fee every time you transfer, and that's the cost transfer fee, right? So do it. Eat the gas fee one time to transfer from wallet to wallet a small amount to confirm delivery, and then you have the address saved,
nice.
and then you just send it again.
Perfect.
So that's sort of my little pro tip for having lost money and not wanting to experience that again. You know, because if you're transferring, like each Bitcoin is worth like what, 40,000 coins or $40,000, like, you know, that's quite.
This is just another tax that you have paid.
Yeah. So I've paid the learner's tax and I've lost money like in the abyss. Like, I'm like, where is that money? Like, where did it go?
Okay, seriously though, where did it actually go? Like,
So it went to the network.
Okay.
Whoever runs the network got it. I'm pretty sure, but Austin maybe could chime in with an answer on that. When you don't send it to the right address, where does it go?
It disappears.
It just goes to. It wasn't like I put in the wrong address. I forgot to put in an address, so it just went to the network. So
Okay.
I'm assuming.
Thank you for your donation to the network.
Yeah, whatever network, whoever has that, got it. So, I think that there is something that I do want to talk about though, because Bitcoin is not money; it is a percent of a network. And for anyone who wants to know about Bitcoin, right now, every time they're still creating new Bitcoins. So the guy that initially set it up, there was going to be 21 million Bitcoins created in the world, and then that was going to be it. And at this point, not all 21 million have been created yet by the mining
I think
machines.
it's like, what, 3 million left?
I think there's 18 million created, correct? Yeah. So the price naturally will go up drastically once there's no more new Bitcoin to be giving.
2140.
Right? Yep. So
the last day.
What'd you say?
2140 is when all Bitcoin will be mined.
2140. What does that mean?
The year 2140 that'll be the last year that Bitcoin is mined.
Really?
Yeah, because it gets more and more difficult to mine. Like as time passes, it's harder to mine more Bitcoin. If that makes sense.
Oh, you're saying mining Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gone. I mean, even by October, it won't be profitable anymore. So all those people that bought machines with like a 20% year-over-year return, they'll lose money. Anyone that, I mean, unless you started mining very early, you're probably gonna not. If you started mining recently, you're probably not gonna do well. So yeah, I mean, this is really something that you just want to own part of a network, because the value of that network will go up.
Interesting.
So anyway, that was a short crypto corner, which is nice.
Okay.
All right, IDI. So
man,
now I did what you did. So you gave me a tip last time. You went back and re-listened to the episode. I did this. So I normally don't do this.
Okay.
But I did. And I went back to listen to that scene where we were laughing about infectious. It's great. Yeah, it's a good one. I was chuckling. So I'm excited for the next episode of IDI. And I am reminded of the commitment to objectivity.
Okay.
So
all right. Well,
let's hear it.
You know how to keep me accountable if I slip into any
I will
past
get you out of it. Yes.
You can just whack me here. So yeah, America's favorite segment is back, infectious disease intersection. So this is the deep dive that I teased a couple weeks ago that I've been getting into.
So what can you give us a 30-second preview for the deep dive?
Can I just like do it?
Well, no, I'd like to get an idea of what the scope is.
I'm looking at there was in the latter half of 2021, there was a spike in excess death in millennials, which is odd because we know that COVID doesn't really impact millennials in terms of death. So there's a lot of data I'm about to get into and some theories about why that might have been spiking at that part of last year.
Okay.
All right. So I got this from a man called Edward Dowd. He's you can find him on Twitter. He's been deplatformed there before, so a better place to see him would be Getter.
Getter?
Getter. Yeah.
What is Getter?
Getter is a social media platform similar to Twitter, which has much less of the censorship that Twitter might have.
So is it a better version of Twitter?
In my opinion, if you're interested in looking at this kind of stuff, if you're just interested in following, normal Twitter people, fine. If you're interested in following people who might say some things that get them deplatformed because of Twitter's ridiculous censorship policy, then that's where you go to find them. So,
okay.
I mean, Twitter is still my main thing, but I go to Getter to see Edward Dowd. So he's a former BlackRock investment banker or investment executive. So he was former like head up Wall Street guy. Now he lives in Hawaii, completely off the grid. So he and another analyst who's remaining anonymous did a deep dive in CDC data. So all the data I'm about to share is readily available from the CDC. It's their own data.
So this is what I was talking about with open source intelligence. It's open source available, but there's so much of it, it's really hard to make meaning of. So you get guys like this who've got nothing else to do who are going to do it for us.
Yeah, exactly.
From Getter.
And it's tough because a lot of times they'll go back and like change the classification of a death. They just did that recently. They changed about 80,000 deaths from COVID to not COVID. So it's fluid, it's confusing, and more deep dives need to happen. This is by far not the answer or the end of this. Okay. It's just a beginning.
So, okay, we'll keep going and I might ask questions.
Okay. So what the main finding was that the millennial age group in 25 and 44 experienced a 84% increase in excess mortality in the period of August to December of 2021. Now, we have 84% increase excess mortality.
So like if we say nothing about COVID,
Mhm.
between August and December, there are nearly twice as many millennials dying. Millennial to 44-year-old.
84% increase from what would be expected,
which is almost double.
Yeah. So to give you some actual numbers on this, there were 61,000 excess deaths in that time period in the millennial group alone. And to put it in perspective, in the Vietnam War, we lost 58,000 Americans. So America experienced a Vietnam War in the latter half of 2021, and we didn't hear about it.
So normally 30,000 millennials, 35,000 will die on average in a 3-month period, or 35,000. And then here we had 60,000 deaths.
Sure. You're better at statistics than I am, so I'll agree with you.
Okay.
All right. So
there's an extra 25,000 deaths that have not been accounted for.
I don't think that's right.
Why? Didn't you say 60,000 people died?
61,000 excess deaths.
Oh, excess deaths.
Excess deaths.
Yeah. So I was saying 25,000 excess deaths because
no.
I thought it was 60,000 total.
Yeah.
So it's 60,000 excess deaths for a total of like 100,000.
So an excess death is the difference between the observed numbers of death and the expected numbers of death. So what they normally expect to happen in that time period and the excess. So
wow.
Yes.
So life insurance companies.
That's one of Edward Dowd's sources. Is life insurance companies put out data that he references and looks at.
Yeah, because they're paying that.
Because they're paying that.
And those are very expensive policies.
So he'll look at that. He'll look at funeral homes. Funeral homes have gone way up as far as number of visits and number of funerals that they're arranging. So according to the CDC, the U.S. has experienced 3 pronounced big peaks of excess deaths. They happened in March 2020, the start of COVID and the lockdowns. They happened from November 20 to February 21, which was when the vaccine was first being rolled out. And they experienced this one I'm about to talk about from August. Well, it's really August to October 2021, which I'll dive in next. But important to note, the excess spike in the latter half of 2020 and in the latter half of 2021 was much higher than the spike in March 2020. Okay.
So the 2 spikes corresponding with the times at which vaccines were administered was more than the spike at the beginning of COVID.
Significantly. So in August of 2021, if you remember, George, this is when vaccine mandates started, right? Like we had a very, brief period in the summer of 2021 where everything was kind of fine. Masks were coming off. And then in August 2021, they really hit hard on vaccine mandates, hospital workers, employers, restrictions of getting into restaurants if you're not vaccinated, all down the list, all incentivize people to get vaccines by, forcing them and coercing them to do so. So that's the interesting part about this spike. Why is August 2021 significant? Like what changed at that time? Well, this is one thing that changed, and this is a hypothesis of why we're seeing that.
So is there data showing vaccines administered to that population to correspond overlay on top of the deaths?
Yes. Well, I mean, what I have prepared now I can show you is comparing a high vax state to a low vax state. Okay.
Oh, love that.
So high vax states are defined as ones with vaccine rates above 80%, just for reference. So the high vax states only experienced a 53% only, quote unquote, only experienced a 53% rise in excess mortality. Okay. The low vax states experience 101% rise in death, in excess death. So why the doubling between a high vax state being low and a low vax state being high?
So a high vax pre-mandates, and then post mandates, the low vax states get highly vaccinated during those 3-month periods.
Because there's more pool of people who are unvaccinated before that point, more people who have gotten the vaccine in that time.
So there's a lot of 25 to 44-year-olds getting the vaccine in August of 21 in states that prior had low vaccine numbers.
Exactly.
Wow.
Okay.
Sorry. So let me
interject here.
I'm going to interject with a story to soften. So I was sitting at Game 3, Bucks and Suns in Milwaukee, and I'm sitting right next to 2 hedge fund guys. These guys are really cool. They each are, the one lives in Mexico City, works for a hedge fund in renewable energy, and the other one is in New York City on Wall Street. And they both meet up every year, one game for the finals. And these guys, I mean, the hedge fund people are some of the most objective statistician people out there. So he actually like explained to me referee NBA corruption throughout the entire game. That was a Scott Foster reffing Chris Paul game, a corrupt game, and he was breaking it down for me. These hedge fund guys, like, they understand big data extremely well. So I just want to throw that in there because if we're talking about our objective source here, we have someone who's gone anonymous to protect their identity, who has a history on Wall Street, who they say, and shows that with statistician like expertise over interpreting data. What the data says, is the thing that is we're telling you, but is what he's saying, and it's objective.
And that's what Edward said in all of his, tweets and messages on Getter and stuff like that, is that Wall Street has been the first segment of, our America to take notice of this stuff. And that's how it starts, and it's going to get more and more widespread.
Well, yeah, because what they're shorting Pfizer stock.
Exactly.
And the life insurance companies have paid out. Like, that's going to show up
right in the stock
Wall
market.
Street. Yeah, because in their publicly traded records, like, they're going to have an SEC filing where they paid out all these claims.
Okay, so we know, right? Younger generation not more likely to die from COVID. So this raises questions about the impact of vaccines and boosters on these excess mortality. And keep in mind, too, that they're slow to report. These are non-hospital deaths. So when you die in the hospital, your death is reported faster than if you were at your house and passed away in your sleep.
How are they dying?
They're dying a lot of heart attacks, strokes.
Young people?
Blood clotting, yes. Yeah, we have a blood clot epidemic right now, and it's not being talked about. So,
wait, how do we know that?
What do you mean? The cause of death is reported.
So cause of death for all of these, there's like an increased cause of death in millennial blood clot deaths.
Yes, big time.
Oh, that's super obvious.
Yeah.
Oh.
So some of you may be thinking,
that's like a kind of a widely known side effect of the vaccine.
Right.
Oh, this is really bad.
This
is awful.
It's really it's bad, and as more and more info comes out, it's gonna get worse.
Oh gosh.
So some of you might be thinking, right? Like, okay, August 2021. I kind of remember that was around like when the Delta wave started, right? And we heard a lot like, okay, Delta is the more deadly strain of COVID. What's weird is the Delta variant started in June of 2021. This excess mortality has very clearly starts in August of 21. So why didn't it start with the Delta wave if the Delta wave was the factor here that made deaths rise so much? Doesn't make any sense. Why the 2-month lag? Interesting. All right, so there's going to be
you can't associate it with the Delta wave because of the 2-month lag between the beginning and the spike in Delta cases and the lag in deaths.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you a stat here that even clearly points this can't be Delta. So I got 3 possible explanations for why we're seeing the excess rise in mortality August to October 2021
and these are provided by our statistician here.
This is provided by someone he linked to a Substack that I read. So first explanation, it's COVID, not the vaccines, right? This is probably what most of America would believe, right? COVID's a deadly disease, especially Delta. This is the reason why.
But that can't be because of the 2-month lag.
The 2-month lag. And so the millennial group experienced that 84% jump that I mentioned. The group 85 plus experienced a jump of 14%. Now, that doesn't make any sense, right? We know from the start, COVID's way more deadly to the elderly than to the millennials. So why would the millennials have a 6 times higher excess death rate in that time period versus an 85 plus? That makes 0 sense.
That does make 0 sense.
And you might think,
you can't say it's COVID at that point because of the elderly deaths.
Right. And you might think, okay, elderlies, they're going to be more vaccinated than that age group.
Well,
not by much. They weren't vaccinated by that much more to account for a 6 times higher mortality rate.
Wow.
So it couldn't be purely COVID. Just a second. Okay. Next explanation.
So I'm trying to poke a hole in this to see if I can. Go for it. Because if we're going to be completely objective, I think we need to look at both sides. Mm-hmm. So let's really look at number 1 to see if this could be COVID. So I'm trying to think. I think the only thing that you could say is maybe a lot of older people are already dying, and therefore the Delta increase in deaths wouldn't be that much. That's the only thing I
Maybe.
can say that would explain this
Yeah,
from
maybe.
but it doesn't make sense. Go ahead.
Okay. Second explanation. The spike in deaths was due to the vaccine, but the deaths were with COVID rather than from COVID, and the CDC just called them COVID. Now, this one, the hole in this one is that's a lot of misclassification for a huge spike experience. So this might have happened and it contributed in some way, but
But the classification doesn't matter because we're just looking at number of deaths.
right,
So I mean we're not going to trust the classification no matter what it is.
right. So third explanation. The deaths are COVID, but the cases resulted in more deaths due to vaccine associated enhanced disease and antibody dependent enhancements from the vaccines.
Yeah, it's just so like if you were to put a blindfold on somebody and say which is the most likely, it'd be number 3.
Yeah.
So
So
it's just like statistically that is the most likely.
So what I feel, my opinion, is that the COVID death spike in that time frame was real. I do believe there was a more deadly strain of COVID, but the cases were made worse due to the things I just mentioned, that the ways that the vaccine can make you dependent on antibodies as antibodies wane, you're more susceptible, or the vaccine associated enhanced disease. These are two things that I'll have to do a deeper dive into, like more about these things. But that's kind of where I'm landing with all this stuff.
And I think that at this point, infectious disease intersection has, that was, as objective as I think we're capable of being about this topic. I mean, the like
Yeah.
the insanity behind this is like a whole nother thing. But I think that if you're looking at it just purely right. So with objectivity, we don't have intentionality. So we have no idea which of these are intentional, which of them are not, and we don't care. But all we know is that there's a spike in millennial deaths, right?
An unheard of spike.
Unheard of spike
Like
in millennial,
the most in history.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Millennials don't die at this rate. 84. I mean, this is not normal.
Well, and they're all like weird blood clot deaths,
Yeah.
like weird heart attack at home stuff. Like
Right.
this is really odd.
It's odd. That's what I would say. And a lot more research and work needs to go into looking at all this stuff. I'll make that very clear. This is by far not the answer, but it's a starting place.
Is there any chance that these people actually did not die?
No.
So people actually died.
Yes.
So we have a fact in which we're trying to explain
Right.
that there has been an excessive amount of millennial deaths from blood clots at home that we are trying to figure out.
Yes. And what's coming at some point, you would have to think is lawsuits. You would have to think that's coming.
Yeah, I mean, a class action against Pfizer
Yeah.
in this situation it has to happen.
It has to happen. I mean, this is.
But do you know it will happen?
Yeah.
If it already hasn't.
Yeah.
It's just a non-disclosure settlement agreement. I mean, like Pfizer would never, ever in a million years let this case hit a courtroom.
Yeah, of course.
Like that would be the stupidest thing that company could ever do. Like this is a settlement, a non-disclosure, and we'll never hear about it.
I mean, the CDC, same thing, needs to be sued. Like,
but no, that's a settlement. We will never, ever, 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 ever
wait a minute,
find out.
But I have a vision in my head, okay, of a Nuremberg trial like thing for the people responsible for this stuff. Is that not going to happen?
No,
fuck,
damn it won't.
All right. Well,
some people are just too big to get in trouble.
I'll take solace in the small wins that are to come.
So I'm going to give you a historical context for this. Do you know HSBC, the bank?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
So it's based out of Hong Kong, and they acquired a lot of banks in Mexico that were known drug cartel bankings, and they have essentially, I mean, they fund all of the sketchy activity in the world. Everyone knows you go through HSBC because that's the bank that turns the eye because they like the money in the accounts.
Right.
And that they have been called out by government agency after government agency in the United States for this. And every single time it gets up to the political part of punishment and it's sanctions and fines.
Yep. I mean, this is just like, it reminds me of like how everyone knows you go to Switzerland to hide your money.
Yeah.
Like you'll see them in the news periodically. They'll pay a fine for something and then they'll just continue on.
Yeah.
Rinse, wash, repeat.
Yeah. And that's just the way it works. And I think that like people just need to understand that, like there's just a realism that comes with just accepting that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a bigger point, but I'm not okay just accepting that the public is powerless.
think about it though. If you're like Pfizer or you're the president and someone tells you like 60,000 excess deaths have happened in this age group, like that's just a number. And you're just like, oh, how do I cover that up, that number, so I don't look bad? You know,
Why is
that's
that
like
the
what
first thought?
that's the first thought they're gonna have.
Why? It's tragic.
But it's their ass. If they come out and say that, or if they show any acknowledgement of that, there's a memorial, there's like some type of thing, then that's their ass. That's someone's ass.
I want to live on a different planet, I think.
No, it's a full understanding of what it is.
It's full understanding and acceptance. The acceptance part is the one I have trouble with.
But you can't live on another planet.
Okay, well,
I mean, you're better off, like you're safer here on Earth than trying to go to another planet. So like, you're already here. Like,
all right.
This is where you were put.
Well, there's IDI for this week. Thank you for all listening. I will do more deep dives into parts of this going forward.
Yeah, I think that it's the awareness that we really need to generate. Is
Yeah.
like these are not like, and I think that in this whole like, we've received feedback on COVID Corner, the past segment, and it's important because we looked at it and we're like, all right, like we're not just gonna not talk about things that need to be discussed because, quite frankly, no one else is talking about these things. And right now, maybe not a lot of people are listening, but maybe in the future, we have more followers and they'll come back and listen to this content. And so it's like we can't just like not discuss these very important matters, because what I would like our show to do is to educate people on what actually happens. Fact. It's kind of nice to know those facts.
What actually happened that isn't being reported
Exactly.
or known, or that we're spending our time just diving into because we enjoy it.
So I'm watching right now a documentary on World War II, and Adolf Hitler was the first person in history to see the potential of radio and newspapers for controlling the mindset of a population. And ever since then, radios and newspapers and all forms of mass media have been used as a way to control the mindset of a population. Like that is what they are there for. It is to govern their mind. Government.
I mean, it came out.
That's like where the word comes from.
It came out last week, the Hunter Biden thing that the mainstream media attacked as Russian misinformation and was a big part of the election last year, came out to be true in the New York Times recently. Like they found their guy. They wanted the orange man out. They did whatever it took. They used media to get the narrative out, to suppress narratives that don't support it. And then their guy won.
I mean, I think that and we're going to talk Trump. I think that like any conversation with Trump, in my opinion, starts with how he got elected. Do you know with how he got elected?
No.
Have you heard of a firm called Cambridge Analytica?
Oh yeah, that thing.
Yeah. Like that's real.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying one side does this. Both sides do this.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, yeah.
This is not
we're talking about Trump leaving office. We did talk how he got into office.
Yeah,
like,
no.
That was cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just straight up. I mean, he didn't cheat. He just was the first person to exploit a new strategy that is now being used all the time.
Yeah.
So anyway,
what do you got?
So I got the Matt Ford challenge.
All right.
Do you know what I'm referring to?
No.
What?
Oh, the golf.
The golf challenge. Yeah.
I have a lot of opinions here.
Okay. I would like to hear them. So first, let's tell the story.
Okay.
So,
well, you've talked about your golf journey on here, haven't you? Your new plan?
Yeah. So I was saying in the chat. So Matt was talking about golfing, and I'm like, hey, Matt. Like, hey, fun fact, Matt. So Matt Ford, by the way, huge props to him. Dude played 3 college sports.
Yeah.
Tennis, golf, basketball.
He's an athlete.
Yeah, he's an athlete. I mean, he's an athlete in the truest sense of the word. And for me, the longevity, I think longevity is 2 things. It's a lifestyle and a mindset. And for me, the idea, like, okay, I can maintain my health into my 60s. Like my athleticism is my goal. And I'm like, hey, that means I'll be playing golf for the next how many years?
A long time.
I have goals with that time. I don't want to just waste time on the golf course enjoying golf. I would like to be getting better. And Kevin Durant tears his Achilles tendon, and then he comes back almost as good as he was before, with months of not touching it. And that has made me wonder, and I've been reading about it, and I've been reading about the neuroscience of athletes. Like, how are they able to not touch a sport, but at one point, because they were good, they can get good again?
Yeah, but he didn't touch it because he couldn't.
I know.
That's the difference.
No, but it's like, so Dylan, right, our
Mhm.
director of marketing, he played golf in college. He doesn't pick up the club for like ever.
Yeah, it's built in. It's baked in.
And then he just goes there and he just like is to like, there's a certain level you just like can't get worse than like, if you get good, then like you kind of build a floor.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, well, my way of getting better, I'm gonna like focus on 3-month sprints. So I'm gonna do like golf quarter, where I spend a quarter like really working on golf to get better. And then like I'm gonna take a break and then I'll regress, but I'll regress to a higher level
Mhm.
and I'll have some space and then I'll do another golf quarter and I'll get better. And so I had to start this because with my surgery, I can't golf for 2 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like it's
Can you
really
not
hard.
swing?
Yeah, the swinging and the movement and like, I'll go for my post-op in a
Mhm.
couple of weeks and see, but tentatively, it's not really something I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm.
And so, with that in mind, I was like, okay, well, I'm taking a break. How can I get better? And I've been focusing on the mental game of golf and understanding golf and relating to golf in a completely different way. And so I was in the chat. I said, hey, I'm reverse engineering right now, shooting between 75 and 78. And the way that I'm doing it is I went to this, in my opinion, the best statistician in golf, and he lists very clearly what a player needs to be able to execute physically to shoot that score. And
Who's
then the
who
rest is just strategy.
who is that statistician?
Decade guy, his
Oh,
name's
it's a decade.
Scott Fawcett, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, and so I don't know if that's his name, but
Yes.
so he sort of like breaks down how to shoot 75 to 78. And so I said in the chat, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna do this. And Matt Ford's like, no, you can't. Like, it's too hard. Like, I've shot in these numbers and I know what it takes. And I'm like, yeah, you've shot in those numbers the way that people have always shot in those numbers. And now there's a new way to shoot that score that's way less challenging than it used to be. And so I think I'm capable. And he said I'm not. And so I said challenge accepted. And I now have the Matt Ford challenge.
Here's my issue with your strategy.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said on the show, and tell me if this is still the plan, you're not going to play golf until beginning of next year. Like actually play?
No, I didn't say that.
You did.
I said I'm taking an off-season break.
Okay. So when are you planning on playing again?
Like a course?
Yes.
Maybe June.
Okay. That was my main issue because I could have swore you said I'm gonna like just spend the year rebuilding my swing and taking lessons and going to the range and not actually play.
I said I would take like 4 months.
Okay.
Which is what I'll do. Yeah.
Okay.
So that is what I'm doing. So
Yeah, no,
is,
I think you're definitely capable. I don't see why he would. And the challenge is to shoot it one time or
single time 78
okay. What is the time frame?
in 12 months. Before I'm 30, so a little over 12 months. Yeah, I mean, I'll smoke it. Yeah, it's like I really am not concerned about it. But I think the bigger topic of conversation to me is this is going to be a data point for everyone listening on the fact that you cannot compare what is possible with a non-data driven process to what is possible with the data driven process. It's nothing about me. I'm literally going to be following the computer that is telling me what to do. Like, I'm not going to be thinking a whole lot. I'm just going to be executing. And so it's like it's really the process that's winning. And so I have my reverse engineered process here.
Let's hear it.
Curious. So, and Matt Ford, the condition of the bet is that I cannot play golf more than 2 times per week. I cannot pick up and swing a golf club on the golf course or a driving range more than 2 times a week.
Can I get in on this? I bet I can beat you.
You bet you can beat me?
I bet I can get to that score faster than you can. I can stay out if you want.
Deal.
All right, done.
Okay.
All right, let's hear it.
But I can't start until I can play again.
Okay. All right.
Right. So like you can't start until I can play again. Yeah.
On pause.
And but anyway, so I'm like, okay, so in order to do this, I actually took something from playing basketball with Matt Ford. So when you play basketball with Matt Ford, I don't know if you knew this, but his senior year of college or his last year playing basketball, he only missed 1 free throw the entire season.
Wow. No.
Like mid 90s%.
Mm-hmm.
That's like unheard of.
Yeah.
And so I was asking him how he was doing it. And he's like, yeah, I mean, basketball free throws just have to be completely mindless. Like you just stand there and you just do the same motion over and over and over again. It's to the point where you're not even thinking about it. It's just like you feel it in. Like you just kind of like, it's like you should be able to do it in the middle of the game, before the game, after the game. Like it's like there should never be a point in the game where you can't make a free throw without thinking. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh. And so I've been talking to my golf coach about this concept. And I'm like, what if I just make all of my swings free throws? And I don't swing as hard as I can. I just do like the easy thing that I can do over and over again nonstop. And so we've been trying that, and we are tweaking my swing. This is what we've been doing in the golf lab where I'm not touching a course, is we're tweaking my swing to have the ball go far enough while swinging easy by being more efficient. And so I'm straightening out my mechanics, and I'm doing this one time in my life. One time in my life, I will take a long pause from playing and only swing with a camera and make sure that every swing is what I'm intending, so that I have that new process, so that after a very long pause, when I go back on the golf course, I have no memory of what it used to be like. I have like only this new experience, and I want to go to a new course that I've never played and play that course over and over and over again, and understand all of the analytics behind that course, and just play one course, so I can learn this strategy. And the strategy involves simplifying the number of shots.
Have you picked the course?
No. I could do the course that we play together, Lookout Mountain.
Yeah.
Since that's the one that we go to already. But it's essentially like I'm simplifying it. So I'm taking out all of the stuff that takes people a lot of time, and I'm doing just the things that I can do repeatedly on 2 times a week. I can do my free throw swing 2 times a week. I can do my half. So I have like these half clock kind of time swings for distances that I use. I can build a yardage book of that. And then I'm going to only do 2 things with my putter. I'm going to work on speed, with measuring how many feet I am from the hole and measuring speed. And then I'm going to do making 6-foot putts. And then I'm going to do chipping to distances. So that's all I'm going to be working on. And that's it. And when I get on the golf course, I will either use one of those tools, or I have an additional tool, which is feel the ball to a target. I pick a target and I say, just get the ball there however you think you can, if it doesn't fall within that. And so I'm essentially, what I did is I took a reverse engineer based on analytics of what it takes to shoot the score. I've been in the lab fixing my efficiencies of my swing so that I can lower my dispersion of inaccuracy to be more accurate in smaller distances, so that I can essentially turn into a golf computer where I don't think and I just play.
I think you want to become a computer in all sense of the word.
Correct. Yeah, that is a goal in my life. Yeah.
Okay. I like it. Let me think. So how far are we hitting the drive? What's our drive at?
250 to 280.
All right, that's good enough. How long is the course you're playing to do this challenge?
So under 7,000 yards. So between 6,700 and 7,000. So
long
whatever
enough.
tee distance that is.
Okay.
I'm trying to be fair, and
Yeah, that's good.
no fake rules, like real rules.
Real rules, real re-tee,
Re-tee,
the
whole thing.
Good.
Yeah, the whole thing. I mean, the idea is that if I'm doing free throw swings, that stuff shouldn't be in play. Like the strategy takes all that stuff out.
I mean, guys on the tour still hit it in the woods.
Yeah, but it's on accident, so it's not the strategy, right? So like,
right, it's on accident.
So I just follow the rules, and you just take it and move on. But like, that's just user error. But like, the process should take most of that stuff out of play. So and you should be able to sit up on the ball and say, I've taken out the danger. I can just swing freely.
So after this 4-month period, are you going to get more into like the decade on-course strategy stuff with like when to hit driver, when not to hit driver, when to lay up?
I mean, I already know that stuff. I've been researching. So in my time off,
you're going to map the courses and do that?
Yeah. So that's the thing. I want to map one course.
Okay.
So that's the idea. Is it's unrealistic in my mind to expect to play golf that way, where I'm going to sit on a computer and GPS map the entire thing. So what I'm hoping to do is GPS map one course and play that course over and over again.
It probably only takes 20 minutes. It's not that hard.
But I just want to do one course, and then I can go to any hole and say, like, what hole does this remind me of that I've digitally mapped? And then I'll just copy a similar strategy. So the idea is that if I can just understand this one course very well with all the different pin variations, then I can essentially sort of like guesstimate on any course.
Knowing a course, probably drops your strokes 3 or 4 at least. Like just knowing where to hit it, where to miss, when to hit driver, what club to hit on a par 3, like there's advantages of that.
And so it's for me, I've had to look in the mirror and say, okay, so with this longevity mindset, like what do I want from athletics? And I want to keep getting better at basketball and golf. Those are the 2 sports that I really want to work on. And I'm going to do them in sprints. And so my first sprint is a golf sprint. And then after my golf sprint, I will take a basketball sprint, and then I'll come back to a golf sprint, and I'll bounce between the 2 sports. And And I just realized in my schedule I can't do 2 sports at once.
Yeah.
And
Tough.
so I'm going to do 3 months of one and then 3 months of the other and then go back to it and have and reprove and recede. But the idea is that my baseline will be lower. I'll keep raising up my floor of how good I can get. So
Well, I like it. I mean, this is tough. We have to wait 4 months to hear your first result and hear like actual score progress, but it's good.
that's the idea, is like
Well, I know,
I'm
but
committing to
I'm
a
in the audience here.
long-term sustainable
I'm in the
process.
audience. I don't give a shit about your long term. I want to know how it's going.
No, you should look at it and be like, wow, I've done the same I've been playing golf for 14 years. Like, I've been doing the same thing over and over again with minimal improvement. Like, I think I'm ready for a different way of relating
Yeah,
to
I
the
hear ya.
sport, like, and golf is such a challenge because it's the challenge of it tricks you because you always think you're better than you are. And that's the worst part about golf is you think of your best shots and you forget that the worst are as likely as the best. And it's like, can I just be like completely objective and not get mad? And that's anger on the golf course is a big thing I struggle with.
Yeah.
And like,
Me too.
so it's, there's all those factors that it's like the most triggering, difficult to stay to a planned sport because you think you can make it back. It's like gambling in a lot of ways. Like, so yeah, I think that and for the audience, like I'm sharing this not to talk about golf, but it's to talk about a winning process. And I think that that's like the thing I'm most passionate about is um, the information age, the digital age, the computer that I try to be, has taught us how to do things better than they've ever been done before. And so I would like to do things this new, better way. I don't want to do things the old way that didn't work as well. Like, why would I want to waste my time not playing as well? That doesn't make sense to me. So I will just go all in on becoming a golf computer.
All right, I like it, man. I'm
Yeah.
I'm gonna go like a somewhat similar path, but I'm gonna do the Bryson route.
Oh, you're going the Bryson
I'm gonna
route?
try to get as big as and strong as I can, and basically overpower these courses. Like hit the ball 320, so I have less because we know it's statistically better to be closer to a hole on a par 4 or
Yeah.
5 to get a better score. So I'm just gonna try to out muscle these courses pretty much.
Yeah, so this is where Matt. So with your strategy, this strategy, you can get better than I can. So you have a higher ceiling, but you also have a lower floor.
I'm more volatile for sure.
Yeah, so like your volatility of your scores will be. I'm not interested
Definitely.
in unpredictable. I just want like the standard stuff.
Yeah, but aren't you worried at some point when you achieve this goal and you've had it for a while and you're playing your game the way you want, like it's just going to be kind of boring?
Yeah, that's kind of what I want from golf, though. I don't like thinking about golf for 4 hours. I like being there in nature, outside, and golf is a part of it, but it'll actually put the golf on autopilot, and that's actually what I would like.
Don't you think when you start shooting 78 every round that you're going to want to try to shoot par?
Yeah. So I'll have goals, right? But like every 3 month sprint will have a different objective. And I look at the end of the 3 month sprint, I recap, I have 3 months to take a break, I have an off season, and then I go back into season mode and I have a new goal, right? So this season, my goal is to shoot 78. Next season, it'll be to break par, and then it'll be to go under, right? Like that's where I'm trying to go, but I'm trying to build checkpoints. And then once I get to 75, 78, that's like a statistically proven place that when a golfer can shoot that, they don't regress above 80 very often again. Then you just try to go lower. So I kind of like built in checkpoints based on what is statistically common for golfers to stay in. It's like a sustainable range.
I love it.
Yeah.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, and I think that is this like the most unrelatable thing for a desire to just be a computer and to like gamify and optimize
I think
so many different parts of your life?
there's a lot of good things to be learned from it. I think how far you go with it, it's tough. It's tough for people to relate to that length you take it. It's not like a bad thing. It's just your quirk. It's just who you are.
So it's the length. So like this isn't a normal length to take
No,
the desire to get better at golf.
No.
Why not?
No, the desire.
Why is this not normal? Like, why would I put less intentionality behind something?
Like really simplify your game where you do like a couple things and you don't do them exceedingly well and you don't do them bad. You just kind of do them good enough.
Yeah.
I don't think I think like the best times for me or someone is like when you hit that amazing shot that goes super far or like I don't know was difficult.
Oh, I'm gonna hit amazing shots.
Okay,
they're all gonna be on accident. That's the best part. That's the thing. Like the ones that are close to the hole are accidents. They're not on purpose. And like, oh, I got a surprise.
I mean like your length you're taking it to go to compete with yourself. Like you're not preparing for a tournament. You're not preparing for some like cash game or like men's league. You're literally competing against yourself, against the score, against the golf course. That kind of like rigidity to the whole thing is
Well, I think it goes
unique.
back to that Steph Curry quote with that, like, I really live by is like, I will every single day live by the process that I think will lead to my long-term goals. And I guess I have that,
Discipline and
yeah, it's kind of weird type of discipline
Yeah.
because you wouldn't think of me as a disciplined person, but like in this sense, I do have discipline.
yeah. There's a
I
word.
think it's more of a commitment
That's
to
it.
the long-term
That's what's in my
objective.
head.
Yeah,
Commitment.
I have like an undying commitment to a long-term objective.
It's great.
Yeah. And for like, I mean, but like think about it, like weight loss goals, like people in our audience have all kinds of
Oh, yeah,
personal
yeah.
life goals. And this should be the process of which they take. It's just like the most effective. And if there was a more effective one, I would switch to that.
I agree.
So is this, but here's what I will say. And I'm going to go to my motivation behind doing this. I want to offer 3 sport options to all of our kids.
Mhm.
You can pick between basketball, golf, and soccer. And throughout their entire time until they get to college, I want to be better than them at whatever sport they're playing.
I can appreciate that. I'm already thinking of like, what is the first age my son is going to beat me at one-on-one basketball? Because it better be in his mid-20s.
No, it'll be like 18.
8.
Yeah, like I think like high school is when I start getting beat by really good players.
Yeah, and you're obviously younger compared to your kids than I will be, so that'll be against my
But
disadvantage.
with longevity, there shouldn't be a difference
shouldn't
between our
be.
ages if you take care of yourself.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough day. Well, like a proud day and a tough day.
No, I've been beaten by kids already.
Is it proud or tough?
It's
Well, not by your own kids, no. Oh, by Bailey, is that his name?
yeah. So right, I mean, we call them all ours, right? So
Yeah,
it's like I've been beaten. Our 10-year-old has beat me at soccer.
Okay.
Our 5-year-old has beat me at horse. And I've lost in board games to Gerard.
But you're gonna lose.
Yeah,
those,
right. Yeah. And so it's like I've lost to all of them. Okay. And the ones I don't like are the ones that talk shit. So when they lose and they talk shit, I always say, I'll remembering this for the next time we play, and I'm gonna beat you very badly.
That's exactly what I'm gonna say.
And then I beat Miles. It was 0, horse to 0 the next game. And I said, this is because you talked last time. And
so you think if he beats you again?
The next time he beat me, he didn't talk.
He didn't talk. Okay, that's smart.
He was quick and then he stopped.
So he learned.
Yeah, and I don't talk to them when I beat them. You know, I always tell them, good game. This is what you did well. This is how I beat you. And I said, like, until you learn how to do this shot, I'm gonna relentlessly go to your weakness.
I just remembered something from the game. You'll appreciate this. So since they were losing so bad, I had to like figure out ways to entertain myself. So one thing I landed on for a lot of the game was there was this dad in front of me and like his 12-year-old son. And I took it upon myself and I got dad's permission. I was like, can I coach your son up on some like mindset? You know, he's an AAU. He's like clearly gonna be a basketball player. So like, can I like help him along, tell him, point out things in this game that like, you know, are not the way he should play or the way he should play. So I spent a lot of the game coaching up this 12-year-old son on basketball mindset.
This is important. This is why I do this, is because I want to teach my kids the proper best mindset the first time so that they never have to undo a bad mindset. Yeah. That's sort of my goal. And so it's like, Kaylee actually was the first one. I was like, wait, so I can go my hardest on the kids? She's like, yeah, no, I want you to. And I was like, oh, so I can like kick their ass every time. She's like, yes. And I'm like, awesome.
I don't think Helen's going to give me that green light. I'll have to do when she's not looking.
And so what we do is we give them handicaps. So like we make the rules such that it's fair, but I go my hardest.
I like it.
And so
yeah, if you could do like, you know,
handicap all the games.
Horse to H. Like if you just get me one time.
No, he goes, it's a distance thing. So he gets half the distance that I make. So I make it from, so it's like, and then he's now at 3/4 the distance because it was too easy.
You know what I'm a stickler on is they should only be shooting at the big hoop when they can do it with correct form.
That's so I do not let him shoot on a 10-foot hoop because I tell him he's not strong enough.
Yep.
And I tell him he doesn't shoot from good form. We say start from the penis and push up. That's what we say.
No bad habits.
And so anyway, where I was going with this is that wait, we were talking about, so hold on. Oh, okay. So the coolest thing ever, in my opinion, is when you can take the analytics-based strategy of one sport and apply it to another sport. And so I did this with our 10-year-old in soccer. So do you know how in golf they tell you to like not aim at one place? No. Just kind of like trust that the ball's going to be random? No,
I don't do that at all. You aim at a thing.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like you don't aim at the flag. You aim at a different object
something,
because you know the ball's not going to go where you aim anyway. So I told our 10-year-old at soccer, I'm like, actually, I want you to, instead of trying to avoid the goalie, kick at the goalie as hard as you possibly can, so that the inaccuracy due to the speed is going to push it to the sides, edges, top, bottom. And
if you're a certain distance out, if you're close, you wouldn't do that.
So I tell him to not get close. I tell him to shoot from far. Don't even bother trying to get close because you'll lose the ball in the process.
This is my biggest fault with the U.S. soccer team.
Yeah,
they never shoot from distance, and then they try to get it close, and then they lose the ball. So annoying.
In my opinion, if anyone's listening right now to this point, the best soccer strategy has not been discovered yet.
Okay.
In 2006, there was a coach in the Premier League that tried this strategy of just blasting it from deep all day.
Yeah.
This is the analytics best play to play soccer, and he was before his time. So someone will try this again. It's called YGAN. It's the style of soccer, guerrilla soccer, where you just shoot at the goal like 20 times a game from distance.
There's so much money in soccer across the world. You like kind of like the NBA, where all that money breed innovation. Why does that not happen in soccer?
So I'll tell you why. And I've looked at owning both a soccer team and a basketball team. So I've been looking at both things. And a soccer team I would own in the United States. A basketball team I'd own in Europe.
Yeah, somewhere else.
And so I've gotten deep into both of these like youth academies, structures, and all that stuff. And it's the same thing both ways. No one is teaching it from child through the same way. So someone will go to different coaches, have to learn different strategies, and there's no like objectively best way of soccer being taught right now. And my theories on it are because there's no computer in the sky, like understanding soccer yet. Once that happens, they'll start understanding the value.
Even though that hasn't happened, you can see in the countries that have the same like philosophy from youth to the national team as the best countries in soccer.
Yeah, so Italy, in my opinion, is the best.
Brazil, Spain, England, like they teach the same style of soccer all the way through their youth academies, and then when they get to the national team, everyone plays the same way.
So this is why the United States will always, in my opinion, suck at soccer until they fix this, because they have an AAU program.
Well, it would just take blind luck. It would take them to get 4 or 5 exceptional world-class soccer athletes that, is low likelihood to happen.
All of the American sports have this problem. Basketball, baseball, football, soccer, like all of them don't teach it the same way the entire time. So a player cannot get that good because you can't learn, like they're different coaches have different philosophies, and they think that's a good thing here. They're like, you get a different perspective. I'm like, yeah, you're just inconsistent. Like, let's be consistent.
Because they probably don't agree with you that there is a best way.
Yes, exactly. So we got to go to lunch.
All right.
We have a good lunch here coming up. So let's sign off. This has been another episode of the $1 Billion Podcast. And you are listening to a couple guys on the $1 Billion Couch telling you some $1 billion pearls here. I mean, be a computer. See you guys next time.